We often think that Earth has already been fully explored, but in reality, it is still full of places that look like scenes from another world. Giant crystals hidden deep beneath the surface, a fiery crater that has been burning for decades, mountains transformed into power plants of the future, and an island where civilization is not allowed to enter. All this and more you will discover right now. Enjoy watching. At first glance, these scenes may look like the result of complex visual effects, but what you're seeing is pure reality. No CGI, no artificial tricks, just nature itself. And indeed, as the horizon line disappears and the mirror-like surface of water merges seamlessly with the sky, it feels as if reality loses its boundaries and turns into an optical illusion. This is the Uyuni Salt Flat, a dried-up salt lake located in southeastern Bolivia. It is considered the largest salt flat in the world and plays a vital role in the region. Every year, tens of thousands of tons of rock salt are extracted here, and its total area exceeds 10,000 square kilometers. According to experts, enormous reserves of salt are concentrated in the Uyuni region, while beneath its surface lie rich brines with a high concentration of lithium. This metal is a key component in modern battery production, and Uyuni is considered one of the largest potential sources of lithium on the planet. For this reason, the importance of the region goes far beyond the food industry. Salt here is not only mined, but also used in construction. Yes, you heard that right. In Bolivia, an entire hotel has been built from salt blocks. It's a real salt palace, where almost every guest secretly tries to lick the walls. Leave a like if this is the first time you've heard about this hotel. For most of the year, Uyuni looks like a vast, snow-white desert, covered in intricate salt patterns. But the real magic begins during the rainy season, which lasts from November to March. A thin layer of water transforms the surface into a gigantic mirror, reflecting the sky and creating landscapes so surreal they are almost impossible to distinguish from an illusion. If you think all natural masterpieces are found on the Earth's surface, you're mistaken. Deep underground, hidden from curious eyes, lie extraordinary formations of gigantic crystals. They are so magnificent that it's hard to believe what you're seeing. Words often spoken by the few who have been lucky enough to visit this incredible place. Meet the Naica Cave. It is located in the Mexican state of Chihuahua. The cave was discovered completely by accident in the year 2000 by two miners. Imagine an ordinary workday. The miners were drilling a tunnel at a depth of about 300 meters when the drilling suddenly stopped. Silence followed. They stood frozen in awe at what appeared before them. When the light of a flashlight entered the underground chamber, beams reflected in every direction, as if the space were filled with enormous shards of shattered glass. Unfortunately, the chance to witness this breathtaking beauty with your own eyes is reserved only for specially trained scientific expeditions. Ordinary tourists are not allowed inside the cave. These crystals are a variety of gypsum known as selenite. Their formation was made possible by unique geological conditions. The town of Naica, where the cave is located, lies on an ancient fault with a magma chamber beneath it. Heated magma warmed underground water, creating ideal conditions for crystal growth. This process took hundreds of thousands of years. Over time, true giants emerged. The largest crystal measures 11 meters in length and 4 meters in diameter, but its weight is the most astonishing part. Just imagine, it weighs around 55 tons, roughly equivalent to 11 adult African elephants. The Naica Cave can hardly be called welcoming. Without special protective suits and equipment, a person can remain inside for no more than 5 minutes. And that's no surprise. It's hotter than the Sahara and more humid than the Amazon. Average temperatures reach 50 degrees Celsius, with humidity levels around 90%, a rare and extremely dangerous combination. Even researchers wearing protective gear are allowed to stay inside for no more than 40 minutes. Otherwise, the consequences can be fatal. Scientists often experience serious physical distress after exiting the cave, rapid heartbeat, and oxygen deprivation. This environment leaves no room for error. Despite these dangers, the Naica cave is a fascinating subject for scientific research. Inside the crystals, researchers have discovered unique bacteria that had never been encountered before. This discovery may help scientists better understand life in extreme conditions, and possibly even life on other planets. It's clear that scientists are racing against time, and for good reason. Soon, all of this beauty will once again become inaccessible to humans. Currently, water is still being pumped out of the cave, but prolonged exposure to air can damage the crystals. For this reason, the pumps will eventually be turned off. As a result, the cave will once again fill with hot water, returning the crystals to their natural environment, where they can continue to grow. And all that will remain for us are these remarkable images and the invaluable results of years of scientific research. When we hear the words tropical island, our imagination usually paints a familiar picture: dazzling white sand, turquoise water, palm trees, and the sound of waves. Somewhere in the shade, colorful parrots call out to one another, while silhouettes of monkeys move through the jungle. According to every tourist stereotype, this is exactly what paradise in the middle of the ocean should look like. But this island in the Bahamas shatters all expectations because it's home to pigs. They freely roam the beaches, bask in the sun, and fearlessly enter the ocean, swimming out to greet boats filled with tourists. These animals have become the island's main attraction, turning an ordinary tropical island into one of the strangest and most recognizable locations on Earth. This unusual place is located in the Bahamas, within the Exuma archipelago, surrounded by dozens of small coral islands scattered across the crystal-clear waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Its official name is Big Major K, though around the world it is better known by a much simpler name: Pig Island. The island is uninhabited by humans and has no hotels or permanent infrastructure. The only way to reach it is by boat from nearby islands. This isolation is exactly what allowed Big Major K to become home to its most unexpected residents, the pigs that made this corner of the Bahamas truly unique. There are several theories explaining how the pigs ended up here. None of them have been officially confirmed, but all sound plausible, which only makes the story more intriguing. According to one of the most popular versions, sailors or pirates once deliberately left pigs on the uninhabited island as living food supplies, planning to return later. For unknown reasons, they never did, and the pigs adapted to life in the wild. Another theory suggests that the pigs arrived here after a shipwreck. The animals were being transported by sea, the vessel was damaged, and the pigs managed to swim to the nearest island. As you can see, they are surprisingly good swimmers. A more modern explanation claims that local residents or farmers brought the pigs here, using the island as a temporary holding area. Or perhaps the island was intentionally turned into a tourist attraction. Either way, the truth may never be known. Some places on our planet can truly be called terrifying, and one of them is the Darvaza gas crater. For more than 50 years, this ominous pit has been continuously spewing flames, both frightening and mesmerizing curious visitors. Darvaza is located in Turkmenistan, in the heart of the Karakum Desert. It measures about 60 meters in diameter and roughly 20 meters in depth. The crater looks especially dramatic at night, when darkness falls and the glowing fire illuminates the desert with an almost surreal intensity. Locals often refer to this landmark as the Gateway to Hell, which is hardly surprising. Visually, it seems to match certain religious depictions of the underworld. In reality, the crater has nothing to do with mysticism. The story began in 1971, when geologists discovered natural gas at this site. During drilling operations, an accident occurred. It turned out that beneath the upper layers of soil, there was a large underground cavity. At some point, the ground collapsed, swallowing the drilling equipment and vehicles. Fortunately, despite the dramatic collapse, no lives were lost. You might wonder, how is that possible? The crater burns endlessly today, and it seems impossible that anyone could survive in such conditions. The answer is simple. At the moment of the collapse, nothing was burning yet. The fire came later. Shortly afterward, geologists decided to ignite the crater intentionally, hoping to prevent toxic gas from spreading into the atmosphere and harming people or animals. They expected the fire to burn out within a few days. They were wrong. The crater has been burning ever since, and no one knows exactly when it will stop or how to extinguish it. It may continue to burn for decades to come, posing a serious environmental and economic concern. First, the combustion of such large volumes of gas harms the environment and nearby communities. Second, the natural gas could have been used for the country's needs or generated revenue. Instead, it is simply burning away. Turkmen authorities are still considering possible solutions. For safety reasons, protective barriers have been installed around the site, though they do not stop everyone. One man even dared to descend to the very bottom of the fiery crater. No, it wasn't the lead singer of Rammstein. It was Canadian explorer George Karunis. In 2013, he discovered unique bacteria living at the bottom of the crater, microorganisms that thrive in extreme heat. So Darvaza is not only a spectacle for travelers, but also a subject of scientific interest. High in the mountains of China, where untouched nature once dominated the landscape, a truly futuristic scene is emerging. Places that were once barren slopes and rocky plateaus are now covered with millions of solar panels. From above, they look like endless dark fields, following the contours of the terrain and stretching all the way to the horizon. This is not science fiction. This is the future, already here. Massive solar power plants are being built across different regions of China, especially in the provinces of Guizhou, Gansu, Qinghai, Yunnan, and Sichuan. Mountain slopes, valleys, and plateaus are gradually turning into energy fields capable of capturing sunlight throughout the entire day. Each solar panel consists of photovoltaic cells that convert sunlight into electricity. Individually, they produce relatively small amounts of energy, but when combined into massive arrays, they become powerful sources of electricity. This energy is fed into the national power grid and used to supply cities, factories, transportation systems, and residential areas. As a result, reliance on coal-fired power plants, long the backbone of China's energy sector, is gradually decreasing. The scale of these projects is truly impressive. Some solar farms cover dozens of square kilometers and generate gigawatts of electricity, rivaling traditional power stations. But their impact goes beyond energy production alone. In certain regions, solar panels help reduce soil erosion, retain moisture, and even allow agriculture to be practiced beneath them. This approach is known as solar energy plus agriculture. In this way, China is actively contributing to a transformation of the global energy landscape. There are places on Earth untouched by tourist routes, places without mobile signal, without roads, without access. One of them is a small island in the Bay of Bengal. North Sentinel Island is under special protection, and any approach to its shores is officially forbidden. For those who choose to ignore this ban, the consequences can be fatal. The island is inhabited by one of the most ancient and isolated peoples on the planet, the Sentinelese. They perceive any outsider as a threat and react without hesitation, using spears and bows. history has already recorded tragic cases where attempts at contact ended in death. In 2006, 2 fishermen who illegally approached the island were killed shortly after landing. In 2018, the world was shocked by the death of an American missionary who attempted to establish contact with the tribe despite a direct ban by Indian authorities. He was shot with arrows. These incidents clearly show that for the Sentinelese, any outsider is a danger. Their aggression is not cruelty, it is a survival strategy. For thousands of years, they have lived in complete isolation, and any outside contact could introduce diseases and destroy their way of life. One of the most unusual and mysterious episodes in the island's history, however, was not the result of an intentional invasion, but of pure chance. In 1981, the cargo ship Primrose ran aground on reefs near the island, leaving its crew trapped dangerously close to shore. The sailors watched as armed islanders gathered along the coastline. It was clear that attempting to land would end in tragedy. Fortunately, the crew was evacuated by helicopter, while the ship itself was left behind. Its rusting remains are still visible from the air today. Scientists believe that the ancestors of the Sentinelese settled here tens of thousands of years ago. Since then, their way of life has changed very little. They survive through hunting, fishing, and gathering, using simple tools. We do not know their language. We do not know their myths, beliefs, or social rules. Everything we know comes from rare and distant observations. We literally live in completely different worlds. In one world, there are satellites in orbit, smartphones in our pockets, global communication, and flights across continents in just hours. And only a few dozen kilometers away from the tourist routes of the Andaman Islands lies a tiny patch of land where time seems to have stopped. It's astonishing to realize that these two worlds exist simultaneously. While some discuss artificial intelligence and missions to Mars, others continue to live exactly as humans did thousands of years ago. After a series of failed and dangerous contact attempts, the only possible decision was made: to leave the Sentinelese alone. Not out of indifference, but for their survival. In the modern world, we are the greatest threat to them, not because of weapons, but simply because of our presence. The tribe has no immunity to many common diseases that modern humans barely notice. An ordinary cold, harmless to us, could be deadly for the Sentinelese and potentially wipe out the entire tribe. That is why the Indian government has imposed a strict ban on visiting the island, to protect the Sentinelese from outside influence and to ensure the safety of those who might attempt to enter their territory. That concludes this collection. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like it and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss future episodes about incredible places and fascinating stories. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.